Hello, everyone. Welcome to the News Browse News broadcast. CTV News reports that British Columbia's Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, Christine Boyle, has asked Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim to delay his proposed changes to the city's building bylaw and a pause on certain climate policies. In a letter sent to Sim and City Council, Boyle urged for a postponement until an impact analysis of the energy and zero-carbon step codes can be completed this fall. She expressed concern that any sudden changes to Vancouver's approach introduces confusion, costs, and delay for builders. Mayor Sim is set to introduce a motion aiming to modernize Vancouver's building bylaw to better align with the provincial code. However, his proposal also seeks to halt the Energize Vancouver bylaw, an initiative designed to reduce building emissions in an effort to address housing affordability. Critics like engineer Scott Kennedy agree with code alignment but strongly oppose rolling back climate-related bylaws, emphasizing Vancouver's decade-long leadership in green building and stating there's no need for gas. Conversely, Bill Thielemann of the BC Coalition for Affordable Dependable Energy supports Sim's motion, arguing that existing bylaws such as one banning non-electric water heater replacements burden homeowners, renters, and small businesses, and that consumers should have more choice. This debate follows Vancouver's 2022 ban on natural gas in new homes and a defeated 2024 amendment to reverse it. Green Party councillor Pete Fry criticized Sim's motion as a fossil fuel gas motion wrapped up in an ad pretending to be housing affordability. From the Canadian press, British Columbia Premier David Eby has voiced concerns that Canada's unity will be jeopardized if the federal government continues to show preferential treatment to separatist premiers. His comments come ahead of his scheduled meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney on Wednesday, following Carney's recent agreement with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. That deal promised pipeline construction to the West Coast as early as next year and a reduced carbon tax for Alberta, set at $130 per ton by 2040. Eby explicitly linked Ottawa's differentiated engagement with Alberta to what he perceives as a very real and present threat of a referendum on separatism in that province. He emphasized that national policies should be negotiated with all premiers, not selectively. Eby called for the federal government to demonstrate the same level of enthusiasm and support for British Columbia's $88 billion worth of projects as it has for Alberta. Meanwhile, Trevor Halford, interim leader for the Conservative Party of BC, criticized Eby, suggesting his remarks were politically motivated and aimed at boosting poll numbers, urging more cooperation rather than obstructionism. CTV News reports that federal conservatives are set to introduce a motion aimed at reversing Directive 14, a government policy that guides how lawyers handle Indigenous land claims. The party contends this 2019 policy, which encourages negotiation and limits the use of legal technicalities, hamstrung federal lawyers. They argued this played a role in a contentious BC court decision last summer, which granted Aboriginal title to the Cowichan tribes over approximately 800 acres in Richmond, including private land. This ruling, currently under appeal, has raised concerns among property owners about financial uncertainty and broader economic impacts. While some legal experts agree the directive influenced the case, others dispute that it hampered the defense of private property rights, warning that its removal could reintroduce arguments for the extinguishment of Aboriginal title. The Canadian press reports that the CBC is pausing production on Northland Tales, a satirical Indigenous show, after receiving significant criticism. The blowback stems from allegations that the production used false pretenses to attract high-profile guests. Chuck Thompson, a spokesperson for the public broadcaster, stated that the decision to halt production was made to ensure the show does not negatively impact the CBC News brand and to allow for a thorough assessment of existing footage. The program, which was being produced for both CBC and APTN, was conceived by the Indigenous Screen Office as a satire intended to challenge modern and historical injustices faced by Indigenous peoples by flipping the script. However, the methods used to secure interviews have drawn scrutiny from some, including current and former conservative politicians who have publicly questioned why CBC is funding a spoof that allegedly deceived individuals accused of downplaying the impact of residential schools. Conservative MP Aaron Gunn confirmed he was approached by the show's staff in April, but ultimately declined to participate. Air Canada aircraft maintenance employees held an informational rally outside Vancouver International Airport, YVR, on Tuesday, as reported by City News Everywhere. The rally was organized to denounce a recent ruling by the Canada Industrial Relations Board, CIRB, that employees claim undermines their democratic rights and ability to choose their union representation. Employees state that the SORI's decision effectively blocks members from leaving the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, IAM. They had attempted to join the Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association, EMFA, but the SORI reversed course, ordering the destruction of over 2,000 ballots cast by union members. With the IAM having declared an impasse in negotiations with Air Canada, the employees fear being caught in a labor dispute with a union they do not support. They are now urging Ottawa to review the SORI's decision, which they believe has compromised a democratic process. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.